Oh, boys and girls, I'm all amped up yet again. Tonight, I had a little rescheduling issue. But man, look who came swooping in with his cape. It's Ref Quinn. What's up, my man? How you doing? This is Stir the Pot with Kincaid and my very special guest, the Zebra himself. It's Ref Quinn. What's up, baby?
What's up, buddy? How are you, man? Thank you for squeezing me in tonight. I happened to saw your post, and I was like, "You do you have the night off?" And here we are.
When you said that, I go, that seems code for like, I want to do a little something, something on Stir the Pot. So I go, hey, what can we do privately? And here we are. This is awesome.
Yeah, all right.
If there's anything that I enjoy the most talking to, and I really do, and I love talking to all of the talented men and women that we see in the ring, but I love talking to the referees. You were part of Zebra Week when I started this Skype stuff, and man, I just love talking to the referees. And not only that, I had a little material that I was trying to think of, but pre-interview. But I know you saw the chatter. There was a couple posts put up that I was taking a night off. You said something. Then also, there was another little post once I put the picture up that you mentioned to Sister Laura C. How about a couple questions? And that got me thinking. I usually don't ask questions from the fans, but I know it could maybe help us out a little bit tonight. So I've got my tablet set. We've got some questions for Ref Quinn. So where would you like to start? Well, you know where I would like to start, actually. I always like to ask you and the fam, the better half. We've met the better half. You and the better
She's
half.
not
Everybody
here,
good?
Everybody's good, man. Thank you. Everybody's good. I tell you, Lisa Lucas has helped me get through all this, because if I was by myself and single like before I met her, I think it would have been a lot more difficult. You know, it's been trying, man. You know, no reffing and no gym, but you know, I woke up today, so I mean, that's a good start.
That's always a blessing. And you mentioned, no gym. I got to say, you're one of the jackest refs I've ever seen. You're very fit, my friend. What have you been doing since the gyms have been down? I mean, what can you do?
Well, I have a little bit of home gym stuff, not a lot, but I mean, I have some weights, I have some bands and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, man, I do a lot of Josh Briggs's workouts. He posts a lot of workouts on his YouTube page. And I'll tell you, they have bands in a lot of band workouts, a lot of free body weight workouts. And I'm telling you, I did his arm workout, right? I saw a post and he said, he just finished arms. He can barely move his arms. And I'm like, you know what? I got to try this. So I did it. And I messaged him. I said, dude, like, I can't even brush my teeth. Like, you know? So I've been trying to do that, but I'm not going to fib to you, man. It hasn't been like it, like it usually is, it's you got to just doing the best I can, push-ups and all that stuff,
I'm so glad you mentioned the Josh Briggs videos, because I will tell you something. Him and his beautiful wife or fiance, they did get married, correct?
Oh yeah, it's his wife. Yep.
Yeah. Now, man, those two together doing the workouts is something crazy, huh?
Yeah, and he's lucky because I work out with Lisa too when we go to the gym. So it's really cool because it's your other half, man. Like you're with your favorite person. If it gets too loud out here, just let me know and I'll go back in.
No, you're fine.
With my phone, I won't lose my connection. Well, I might actually take that back. So we'll go back in.
Right. You're fine right where you are. You're fine.
Okay, cool. It's I've just been trying to do those just to stay, somewhat in shape, And we walk probably 3 to 5 miles a day, so that's been helping.
Wow, very cool.
But hold on, let me ask you. How are you? How's your family? How's everybody?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. I've been out on the road. I'm part of the essential thing through the whole thing. I deal with food over in Bristol. I've been working there for a long time with one of my best friends, my old drummer, if you will, back in the high octane days. I've been there for a while. So we've been pushing right through this thing, doing the whole mask bit and all of that good stuff. You got to do that. So I got mom around. I see my dad a lot because I take him to the shows, but I still, I go and visit my dad a couple times a week. So for myself, dealing with so many people, I got to try to keep I wash my hands, I wash my ass, and then I wash my hands again just to keep that sanitary thing going on.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I work for a cleaning company, so I'm an essential worker too. So I haven't missed a day of work, and
Hmm.
it's been interesting, man, to say the least.
Uh,
Whoever would have
you
thought
know,
you walking around with a hospital mask on? Who would
hey,
have ever thought? You know?
I will say one thing. I know that yourself and your son. Am I correct on saying you do a janitorial service, right? Like a cleaning service, if you will.
Yeah, I don't own it. I just work for it. I run the inside sales and outside
Oh,
sales.
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's fun, and we they hooked us up with some nice masks, and it's
Oh,
the
awesome.
company mask.
Wow.
Uh,
Fashionable too, sir.
it is, and the best thing about it is we can wash it.
Yeah, awesome.
Uh,
Now I brought the cleaning portion of it because I've seen you in the whole thing to do the sanitizing rooms and whatnot. Dude,
yeah,
you are stepping up to the plate when it's coming to like getting it together for that safety portion.
yeah, it's scary, man. We've done places, that have had COVID-19, and we go in and we disinfect them, but we're all suited up and we're all protected, and they're
Right.
disposable and whatnot, and it's it's an interesting time, man. Like for instance, just real quick, and then we'll get rocking. I got my
Yeah.
beard today for the first time since this thing. I've been trying to trim it on my own, and at least it's been helping, but we're not barbers, you know what I mean? So, and the guy's a friend of mine. I've known him for years. So I go in, he tells me how much, and I give him, whatever. And he goes in his pocket. I'm like, get out of here, man. Go. Thank you. You know what I mean? I really believe in, what we've been supporting the local places that we go out to eat. We've been making sure we go to the same places that we've always gone to. And, I've
Absolutely.
always gone to him. So whatever the bill was, I just doubled it. And I don't have much, but if I can help out a little bit.
Sir, that is such a fine point that you bring up. And I'm not saying here nor there, and I'm not slighting any class of people by any stretch of imagination. That's not what I do here.
Yep.
But I do notice uh, with, with the people that don't make a whole lot of money in their lives, we seem, and I know there's a lot of millions that get thrown around at different charities, maybe for the wrong reasons at times, maybe for the right reasons. But my point being is, I'm the same way. I don't make a whole lot of effing money in my life, but man, I am not afraid to hook uh, the people up that deserve it. And I'm not afraid to show that appreciation. I'm so glad that you brought that point up, sir.
Yep. Yep. All right. All right. Now we know everybody's good. Let's get rocking, man. Let's go.
Enough of the real life bullcrap. Let's get to wrestling. Now, we did have a sit down a ways back. Like I said, you're a part of Zebra Week, and I forgot to ask you one question, and I kicked myself, and I really did. I made sure that I could take my foot, and I kicked myself right in my own ass. I forgot one very important question to ask you last time, and I'm going to start right there. Now, there was a Blitzkrieg show, and I happened to be fortunate enough to be in the crowd at this time. And you've done plenty of Blitzkrieg shows, but I think you're going to remember this specific one.
I know
Now,
where you.
you do you? So there's a lot of spots going on, if you will, from the top rope to the outside over on the far corner from where me and my pop are sitting. But man, I got my camera zoomed in all nice and ready to get whatever's going on over. There's like 6 of them. It was a scramble, if you will. And Skylar, hot scoop Skylar, she was a part of it. And man, she took the last one off of there, and it was fantastic. But out of the peripheral vision of my right eye, here comes Ref Quinn. He's looking around, he grabs the rope, and the crowd sees you, and we know what's coming. And we start popping, and you throw your arms out like, fuck it, I'm going to do it too. You get up to the second rope, and you jump out. You do a spot yourself. My friend, what is going on?
It was just I got spoken to about that in the back because I, I'm petrified of heights, right? So that dive could have been a lot better, but I went to the back and the promoter just looked at me like, all right, nobody got hurt. All right. Cool. But it was just one of those things. But like I looked over at Sky like, what are you doing? And next thing you know, she's gone, and I'm like, all right, I guess this is all right. Let's go. Yeah, that could have been a lot better if I had a chance to do it again. If I ever get the chance to do it again, I'll fix it.
Well, I have that on footage, and I've seen that year because Facebook reminds me of that, and they bring that.
How do you think I remember all my good matches?
So you know what? Since we're talking about that specific spot, I think I might rifle through the old Facebook on my profile and find it and share it because that's a lot of fun. Now, my point being of bringing that up, obviously, it's a fantastic memory for the fans. You seemed to smile as soon as you figured out what I was talking about.
I actually thought you were talking about something else, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, then tell us what you thought I was speaking of.
I thought you were talking about the night that Justin Credible showed up.
Oh, yeah, I was there too, sir. I was there. But, yeah, I didn't want to bring it there because that was an odd feel, if you will.
Oh, yeah, that's why I was glad you took it.
Now, my point bringing it up is obviously the memories, but I don't see Ref Quinn do a whole hell of a lot of flying around and doing crazy stuff like that. That's not part of your norm, is it, sir?
Oh no. I my best attributes are keeping my feet on the ground, and my ref shirt on, and just count to 3 when the time's right. I learned all these lessons the hard way by taking my shirt off. I got a chop to the chest and the chair to the back from somebody. Yeah, we'll just leave that at that. So I learned my lesson there.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about, so we will definitely leave that there. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, because it's been kicking my ass, that one question that I forgot to ask you, because I'm telling you, one of my all-time favorite Ref Quinn moments, and there's been a lot of them, believe you me. But I actually want to get to these questions because this is something that this is only the second time I've actually done this on Stirring the Pot.
I forgot about that, so I hope I didn't overstep my bounds there.
Oh, please, no, not at all, because, hey, I only got one brain cell, and I can't think of everything. So this is a big this is a big helper for me. So I did not mind one bit, and I know you like to get the questions from the fans and get them involved. Yeah. So I'm gonna read the name off and the question. We're just gonna kind of have some fun with the questions, if you will.
Let's go.
Now this one is basically a statement, but I love it, and it's the very first one right off the ripper. Kenny Grover says, "Why are you so awesome, Ref Quinn?"
You know what? Kenny's a good dude, man. I don't get to see him very often because he's about 4 hours from me up in Maine. But we do communicate. He's a good dude, man. And thanks, man. You're cool yourself, brother.
Now, Kenny Grover is from. He is within the business up in Maine. Am I correct on saying that?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know exactly the companies he works for up there, but he is up there.
I love that statement. That's a fine way to start this because, hey, we all love us some Ref Quinn. And again, I know we were talking before. I know we were talking before I hit the record button, but when we started doing this back and forth, and I first seen your thing about I had the night off, and you're like, "Oh, do you?" I popped like an MFer. I was like, "F yeah, it's Ref Quinn. Let's do some shit here." So my next question is from Jake Olette. I don't know. Are you familiar with Jake Olette, sir?
I am.
Yeah, me too. Woo, we have a history, might I say. Now, I'm very curious on this because, I mean, I've only been in the indie scene like hard for about 4 years now, being 2020. So I'm not familiar with a lot of the names that you men and women speak of from the past. So This is going to be informational for me. Why is El Pepe, if I'm saying that correct, not as shredded as you are? Am I saying his name correct? El Pepe?
I believe so.
Do you know who this El Pepe is?
I do. I do. He trains at my school, my wrestling school.
Oh, is he a talent that we've seen before or an upcoming talent? Where are we at with Pepe?
He's just coming out now, so he's probably been around for I'm not exactly sure how long. You can't
Oh.
miss him. All he talks about is $500 pedal blows. That's but
Well, he is.
he don't
He,
piss him
he
off.
no. He is tagged in that question, so I hit his name, and I'm gonna add friend and see what happens. We'll see where that goes.
There you go.
But the question is, how come he's not as shredded as Ref Quinn? Is there an answer to that, or?
Well, I think the answer is that he's a big dude, man. He's probably like, I mean, I don't know. He's got to be in the 230s, 240s. I would imagine. So that's just the difference. He's just a much bigger framed guy, and I'm a small frame guy, and I can't get any bigger. They're not gonna let me ref anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
You being start to be bigger than the talent.
I'm actually on a goal to lean way out. I want to lean down about another 10, maybe 10, 12 pounds and just get in. Yeah.
Oh, now is it for the ref, more of a ref physique? I mean, I know you're high on the physical fitness and stuff and training under the tutelage of Brian Fury. What an amazing school he has. But do you feel that you're a little too jacked for being a ref? Is that what's going on here?
No, you know what the problem is I go to the gym, right? And just I'll touch on it real quick. I think we touched on it before. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and the gym is what helped me get over it. I did it the way they say you can't do it. I didn't do AA or anything like that. I had a really, really, really bad experience, and I woke up and I said I can't do this anymore. And the gym became my outlet of where I could go every Friday and Saturday night. So I didn't have to go to bars and stuff like that. And I hibernated for a straight 6 months. I had to, it's just how it is. So, that kind of, it gets to me. Like I'm not going to mention any names. So I actually can't think any off the top of my head, but there's been a few times that I've been pulled out of matches because guys like, I'm sorry, he doesn't want you reffing for him. And it's just like, yeah, but there's ways that I can look small. You spread your feet apart, you lean over. There's certain things like, and you know what? All kidding aside, if you're a wrestler, and I don't want to get any heat, but if you're a wrestler and you do this full time, you better be in shape. You better have 6-pack abs. It's what you do for a living. I stay in shape because I'm older. I'm 54, and I'm not afraid to say that. So to try to keep up with these youngsters, let me tell you something. I got to lean out. I got to stay in shape because try to keep up with a Casanova in there or you know what I mean? Well, the best way, actually, his matches are easier, so to speak, because I just sit in the corner and they do get the hell out of the way. But then take it a different extreme to a guy like Chris Dickinson.
Ooh.
I have to be in shape to hold that guy back. That guy is, luckily he likes me. He's dirty daddy. I'm dirty grandpa. But in the ring, it's Chris Dickinson and Ref Quinn. Do you know what I'm saying? You go through that curtain, man. It's all business. I've had instances where I've literally had to grab him by the waist and give it everything I have and grab him in the buckle and say, "Oh fuck, please work with me."
Please,
dude, he is strong.
Yeah. And he's the size of my entire wall. I mean, he's a big fucking dude, man. A very valid point. Being not only fit as a referee for many aspects of being in the ring, the cardio and just being fit and being able. Imagine if you're the only ref in an evening. I've seen that before. You never know what you're going to run into.
The last chaotic show that the technology over here. The last chaotic show that I did by myself.
See?
For single pay, I might add. For single pay.
You never know what you're going to run into, especially as a referee like that. I've seen it a few times, and boy, a referee that works the entire night, man, you better be on your game because you do not get a break.
you also have to pace yourself and make sure, you got to remember too, if you're doing it yourself, you're pretty much running in between. So you got to make sure you're drinking some water. But they were very good to me. They gave me the time to
Right.
do whatever I had to do. There was one point where I was drinking so much water. I'm like, dude, you got to wait like 2 minutes. I'll be right back. When you're older, you better not wait extra.
No, no, you don't want to wait. Woo. Oh, that's a funny and very valid point.
But I just want to throw out there too that Chaotic Wrestling has been great to me. They've all been great to me. To me. Northeast Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling, Limitless. I did work at XWA. I always forget these things, so I'm just kind of throwing them in there.
No, that's okay. We love to hear those, because the fans that hear those call letters, some of us know them or some of us don't. We can still look them up as you're tossing them out, so that's fine, and we get to give them a little love on the show. So this is a follow-up from Jay Colette. I wish I could just bypass him. It says, follow-up question. Do you think the shitty gas he's on will eventually leave him with man titties? I believe we're talking about El Pepe still.
Yeah, I think these guys got a beef going. I've been involved in a couple of their exchanges, if you will, and I always seem to be in the middle. So I think I'm just gonna say no comment.
Okay, hey, the excellent stance on that one, because the next 4 or 5 things under there was some colorful language, if you will. So we're gonna skip all of that.
Next question.
Yeah, next question. I love this guy to pieces. Stephen Baker. And I love him to pieces. Such a fine man. Now, who would you like to ref for before you end your wrestling career? That's a fine question.
That is a fine question. And that can be like taken a couple of different ways. Like that can be taken like, who do you want to, like, is there anybody, like any name out there, anybody out there that you want to ref for? I want to ref for whoever I can. But my last match, whenever that is, wherever it is, however, whatever it is, I hope and pray that in one corner can be Brian Fury.
Ooh.
Yeah. And in the other corner, there's a lot of people, and that's the hard thing, man, because like they're actually, who is it? Oh, I was just thinking of, if it comes back, there is actually somebody that I do want to ref for.
Oh.
And
If it comes back to you, just spit it out at us like a Tourette. Just blow it right out at us.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, again, Stephen Baker, who is your favorite king, and why is it King Leon the Black Blade?
All right. You ready for this one?
I am. I've been waiting for this one.
So I've ref for 3 kings. Right?
Okay.
I've ref for, I apologize for this, but I believe I've ref for King Leon in like a 6 man or something. It hasn't been 1-on-1, I don't believe.
Okay.
I hope I'm right there, Stephen. I've worked with King Brian Anthony down in Northeast Wrestling.
Boo! I'm sorry. It's just a reaction.
And then I've got to work. I've been very, very fortunate. I get yelled at for name dropping, but I've been fortunate to work with Jerry the King Lawler. Like a lot, like very lot. Like I do the meet and greets with him. But who's my favorite king? Who's the original king of wrestling?
I'm gonna spit a name out, and I hope I'm not correct because I'll sound like a jackass. Harley Race, my friend.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but I've never got to work with him or meet him. So, I guess I would have to say you got me good on that one. You know what? Every king that I get to ref for is.
Come on, you're taking the political stance here. You can't do that.
I'm gonna get heat when I say King Brian Anthony is my favorite king to ref.
But here's the thing, though. You said, multiple times with Jerry the King Lawler, and obviously multiple times with King Brian Anthony, because of your work in NEW, and they give you so many fantastic outlets to perform in. It's amazing what the NEW does for you, sir. So you've been in the ring with those guys so many times.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of barn burners with Brian Anthony, King Brian Anthony. Actually, lost that match, so I don't think he's the king anymore. I think he's back to Brian Anthony. I'm not sure how that's going. I'm just a ref. But anyway, the thing with him is, right, this is how I really feel, and I've told him this. I don't know why he's not in more places. I personally think he's a very good wrestler. I think he has what it takes, and that's just my 2 cents,
Now, my dad and I, we have said the same thing because of his physique. He has a look. He can do some stuff. He changes his character. He evolves his character, time and time again. I mean, we've seen it at the Bethany shows a few times over. So, I mean, there's talent there, and I've always said, why do we only see him at NEW? And I mean, I know you don't speak for him, but is there any inclination on why he is basically an NEW guy?
I don't want to pull the curtain back too far, but I do know that he has a very important full-time job that takes up a vast majority of his time. So I would say that was the reason if I had to guess.
Right? Oh, no, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
Seeing that we talked about Northeast Wrestling, I'll just take a second. And,
please.
Thank you to Mike Lombardi. He puts me in matches, man, that I'll tell you, I look across and I'm like, whoa. Crazy, man. It is. I'll throw a couple at you. I mean,
yeah, please.
On Kenny Omega and Ray Phoenix at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. And now everybody say, oh, here he goes, Quinn putting himself over. You know what? Myself over. It's just telling you reality of matches that I've actually done.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with being proud of what you've done. And exactly. I finally realized that, and I'm finally going to learn to speak my mind too. So that could get me in trouble, but if you do it right, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But anyway, Mike Lombardi's a great guy. I have a good relationship with him, and I'm looking forward to getting back there.
NEW, fine talent. I mean, crazy talent that they have come in there. And
guess what? I don't know if you've ever noticed this, right? Pay attention to this, right? When somebody gets released from the WWE or any of these big companies, right? Where's the first independent company they always go?
Scoop right into the NEW, baby.
Almost every time. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
Yep.
When I ever when I ever heard that I was going to get to work with John Moxley, like I thought it was like, than me as we call it, and then I did get to work with him. Whole nother level that dude is.
Talk about a wild card, if you will. And I mean, I know he's done his thing, but man, that guy, and he's even said on the Talk Is Jericho, he's never been formally trained. He just jumped into this, it was he was never really formally trained as a wrestler,
The other thing about him too is, and it's I find this with all the wrestlers that I get to meet, they look big on TV, right? Or whatever. One looks shorter than the other. Then you meet the short guy, and the short guy is 6'4". Like Moxley's a big dude.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm gonna, since we're on the NEW topic, this is a question. It's the same question from 2 different people. Now, I do a fan roundtable where I gather 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 10 of us will get in one Skype. And I'll have a surprise guest, usually a wrestler or a referee or a ring announcer, and we have a lot of fun, and we go crazy. Yeah, it's so much fun. So the same question, one is from the fan roundtable, and one is from that thread here. One is from Maria Snyder. Yeah, Maria Snyder, and the same question is from a friend of mine in the roundtable. We call him Mike Drinkwater. I don't know how to say his last name. Water? I don't know. I call him Drinkwater. We have a blast with that. So the question is, since we are on the NEW topic, what has been your favorite match to referee for. Now, I think we've gone through this, so you spit it out, and I'll see if I'm wrong.
Let me just make sure I heard that right. What was my favorite match that I've ever refed at NEW?
No, not at NEW. What has been his favorite match to referee for, just in general?
Oh, okay. Oh, well, it happens to be at NEW. It was Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes in the steel cage. I should have left wrestling after that. I should have.
You could. That was it for you, right?
That's a WrestleMania main event right there.
It was, and that was at a WrestleFest. My dad and I were front row. I'll never, ever, never in my life forget that. Please.
I'm going to share a quick little tidbit. I'm sure this is okay to say. So I'm walking down towards the ring, and I see this massive steel cage, and I'm like, I'm gonna hold on one second. Is that too dark?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's too dark. So I'm walking down towards the cage, and I'm like, holy shit. I mean, I've reffed, I think, 5 cage matches in my career.
But not that 5.
No. So I'm walking to right? And let me tell you something. This is something that you only know if you're in there. Those things are hard to get into. Like, you got to squirm through the cage and get through the rope. It can be tricky. So anyway, I'm in there, and I'm looking at the crowd. And then what was there? You were there. What was there? What, 3,000 people, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. There was definitely a few thousand people. It was slammed in there.
The ring announcer was my buddy. And I go, how you doing, man? Oh my God! El Pepe just mentioned me in a comment.
He did.
You have to go back to that. Try to remind me to go back to that. So I'm walking into the cage, and I get into the cage, and I walk by the ring announcer, and I'm like, holy cow. So I grab my corner. I say a little prayer before every match. That's just something that I do. And then all of a sudden, Cody's music hits, and man, when I say I got goosebumps from one end to the other, it's just crazy, right? So he comes in, he's jumping around, and this is interesting here. He comes over right beside me, and he's not looking at me now, and I hear, are you as nervous as I am? And I said, probably a lot more. Then all of a sudden, Kurt Angle's music hit, and I got this, I don't know, like I got punched in the gut feeling just of emotion that I can't explain. Now he's in the ring, and I'm looking, and if you watch that match back, watch the first couple seconds of it, I'm literally like this. I'm like, what? Holy shit, you know? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he goes up, and he goes up for a moonsault. And it's a cage match, so there's no rules, so to speak. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a rope situation, but there's no other rules, so to speak. And he's climbing up the cage, and Kurt Angle's like, get him down here. I'm like, oh, I'm like, what are you doing? And he turns around, he just looks, and he stops halfway, he looks back, looks at Angle, looks at me, and just goes. Now he's up the top, he goes, and if you see when he comes down, and Fury gets pissed at me for this, right? So he's coming off the top of the cage, and he's got to be, I don't know, 220, whatever. Say 220, right? That's 220 pounds coming down. So it throws me off the mat a little. And I always kind of maybe add a little, you know, and Fury hates it. So anyway, he comes down, and I'm trying to go over to check on him because that's my job, to make sure everybody's safe and that everything's okay. Now I can't get to him. Angle puts him in the ankle lock.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, Cody goes towards the rope. The boot comes off, rolls him up. I'm like, what the? Well, I can't even talk right now. Like, I still get like crazy about it because that was like, I always like, I don't know if I've said it in these terms, but I'll say it here. That was like my WrestleMania moment. I'll never get anything. No, and this is in no way, shape, or form disrespectful to any other wrestler, other performer that I'll ever get to work with. But that particular match at that particular time, I don't think I would say I'd retire, right? But listen to this. You'll laugh real quick. The guy on your shirt that you're wearing, I used to travel. I was fortunate enough to travel with him quite a bit, and he taught me a lot. There was a lot of car rides where there was no music and it was all talking. So I told him, I said, I'm getting older. Maybe I should retire. He looked at me and he laughed. And find that funny. He goes, dude, you're never retiring from wrestling. And I'm like, no, I'm getting older. And he goes, no, let me help you out. In order to retire from something, you've had to have made enough money to live the rest of your life comfortably, right? And I'm a referee for professional wrestling. Trust me, I will not be retiring from a referee position on the indies. I'm very fortunate with the pay that I get. I'm sure that mine's a little bit, up there, so to speak, if you will. But I've worked for it. But
right.
it's a tough business, man, and you gotta just keep pushing forward. And I'm at the crossroads right now. We'll get into that a little later. I got something to tell you at the end.
That's fine. I want to get back to that match you were speaking of, because you're talking about this moonsault, and then Kurt Angle gets him into the ankle lock. Now Cody Rhodes does a moonsault off the tippity top of that fucking cage, and I mean, it's ominous when you're sitting on the ground in your seat and you're looking up, and Cody comes off that thing and he totally misses. There's nobody there. Kurt Angle rolls out of the way. When he ever hit the map, the place absolutely erupted.
Yep. Yeah, it was crazy. Sorry, I get on tangents, so I get off track sometimes. But
No,
no,
that's okay. No, that's okay.
It was absolutely insane. It was.
It was, man. Absolutely.
I know that, like, when things are done, it's like I sometimes ask myself, like, how do these guys, like, how does he jump off the top of a cage like that, right? And then ends up with the rolling them up. It's like, I don't know. These guys,
so crazy.
That's why when anybody says wrestling and they use the F word for, fake, it's like, I'll tell you what, I'll pay for your class to come to the wrestling school. You sign a waiver, and
could you plug the fine school that is run by Brian Fury, please? Because without that training, my friend,
I was gonna do that. It's New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Brian Fury is the head trainer. We've got Julian Starr there. We've got Chase Del Monte there. We've got Scott Guerin there. Scott Guerin is actually doing a great job helping us all out now. We do weekly Zoom meetings, and he has some very, very important guests, and it's crazy. I mean, last week he had the WWE Women's Champ, SmackDown Champ. Last we had some. It's just, it's unbelievable, and the school is great. And I'll tell you what, Fury doesn't give me any special treatment because we are friends. And that word is loose in wrestling, but he's my friend. And the biggest thing that I missed is him yelling at me, Quinn, get to the fucking shoulders, you old man. I think that last time,
Oh, that's hilarious, man. Thank you for giving us those little things, man, because I love hearing stuff like that. That's amazing. I could so. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's it. New England Pro Wrestling Academy is in North Andover, and once a year they do something called a fantasy camp. That's when anybody can sign up for one day. It's a one-day thing. Anybody that wants to be a pro wrestler, go check it out. New England Pro Wrestling Academy. They're on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Just Google it and you'll find it. And guess who's home?
And the better half.
Come here. Can't see you yet. Where is she?
Hey, better half. How are you?
Hey. She's the best, man. She's the best. Yeah, New England Pro Wrestling Academy is the best. And the reason I like it, and I tell Fury this, every single class, I learned something. I learned something every single class because of the way that he breaks it down to him. He breaks it down to them to the way that sometimes I think I could be a wrestler,
I've seen the fine. you guys used to put out a lot of footage when things were happening. I've seen Dijak in their training. I've seen Ace
Okay.
Romero. I've seen Warbeard Hansen. I'm not calling him Ibar. I've seen Warbeard Hansen. I mean, come on. I mean, the names that
He was a trainer there with the old kid with the old school, and
yeah,
that's
exactly. The names that you guys have over there is just
the
simply amazing.
the lineage is just goes on and on and on and on. I mean,
It
yeah,
does. Now I'm going to go back to the fan roundtable because I asked them if they had any questions for you as well.
yep.
This is from a guy, my friend Eric. He's helped me kind of get the stir in the pot thing off the road for me here. So, great friend of mine. Is there a match you've refed that you're extremely proud of? Your work and the wrestlers' work, everyone was firing on all cylinders. Like something that, just a match that everybody was on their game. I mean, we spoke about the Cody versus Angle thing, but I think he's looking for something that sticks out that you're extremely proud of, a specific match.
Sure, that would be Ray Phoenix and Kenny Omega,
Ooh.
in the Mid Hudson Civic Center in New York. Wow. Yeah, that was, and I want to say, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say that was one of Kenny Omega's first matches in the States in quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. But it was incredible because I'm watching the guy. I'm a fan of his. I see him on New Japan all the time, and now I'm literally in a locker room with him, and he was a lot bigger than I thought he would be. Meaning everything, taller, muscular, everything.
Right.
And the match was great. I've got to work with Ray Phoenix a few times, and that's a match that sticks out. Like when you ask me something like that, that's a match that sticks out. And I'll shoot on another match that sticks out for me too.
Please.
I'm proud of it for the reason is I got to ref his last indie match before he went on to NXT. He did Bola the next weekend. But as far as wrestling a singles match, I refed his last independent singles match, and that was Donovan Dijak versus Walter, and that was Beyond Wrestling in Somerville at the Theater of the Arts or something like that. And I'll tell you what, that was a special match because Dijak and I had a very good relationship as far as working and together and whatnot.
Right.
And for me to be in there with him, it was so cool. And I remember we couldn't look at each other. Mm-hmm. I was emotional as all hell. He was emotional as all hell. And Walter's just a giant. We're all, I'm all wound up. Walter smacked me on the back before we went out and almost put me through the wall. You ready, Ron? I'm like, yeah, okay. Walter's a big dude, man. He gets a gallon of water and it looks like a Poland Springs bottle, But yeah, that sticks out. Those matches stick out to me, and I mean, I could keep going. I mean, I did a Brian Fury comeback match against Anthony Green for Chaotic. I think it was at a Cold Fury. I apologize, my memory is not the best.
That's all right.
There's a ton of them, and I'll touch on another one. I know you asked for one, but I'm gonna throw a few at you.
That's okay. Bring it.
This one was awesome, man. It was Keith Lee against Josh Briggs at Beyond Wrestling. You know how Keith Lee does the pounce thing there? So he pounced Josh Briggs. Briggs hit the bottom rope. The bottom rope snapped.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So when I say 3 people stopped in time, we all stopped. Keith Lee looked at me with a look in his eye like, oh, shit. He looked at Briggs. I looked at Briggs. We all looked at each other. The place, Don. I don't like to swear on these things, but the fucking place went berserk. It was crazy. Like wrestling, and you can talk to any wrestler and they'll probably say this to you. I don't know if that's ever been said to you, but there's moments in wrestling. There's moments that you don't forget. That's something that stick with me for my career.
That's what we like to talk about on the show is moments, because that's what we bring home with us as a fan. And I know that's what you men and women, when you leave the event, you take that home with you as well, these moments like you're speaking of. So we all have them. And I'm so glad that you have been able to just be in the ring with just some of the most amazing men and women that we've seen in the entire world, my friend. I mean, really, no matter no matter what, Ref Quinn has been in it with so many fine talent. And you mentioned Keith Lee, and I know we have some questions, but I want to touch upon the man I'm wearing. I wore this specifically for this interview because Keith Lee and Dijak had a trilogy, if you will, in NXT, which was fine. The fans absolutely loved it. But before that ever happened, we got to see that on a lower, on the different scale on the indie scene at NEW. And man, you were able to be part of some of those, weren't you? If not all three of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I've reffed a bunch of them. I did Summit Beyond. I did one at. They've worked a lot. Worked each other a lot. But yeah, those two men. And the funny thing about that, right? I look like a midget in there. Excuse me, bad terminology. But yeah, I look. You get yelled at nowadays for that. I wasn't referring to like that. I mean, I look like I'm 4 feet tall.
Right.
Like there's a picture that I have the night in Chaotic Wrestling that I got to flip Briggs off after he kept beating me up at Chaotic. You know, there's a picture. There's a picture that I wish I knew how to. It was more technical. I could share it, but I don't know how to do that. I literally look 3 feet tall. He's like looking down at me. And I messaged him and I go, dude, what are you, like 9 feet? And he's like, the angle was sick on that picture. Like, you know, and that's what it's all about, man. It's all about putting on a show, making people happy. I'm bummed out. I've missed quite a few wrestling shows, as we all have. And, not to touch on it too much, but I mean, even as a ref, it's cost me financially, you know?
Right.
I get paid for for every ref job, every assignment that I have. And, it's been difficult, and it's going to be crazy going back. Like the companies that I work for may probably be the last ones to come back, if you will, because I'm not sure that they're going to do like, every other seed or whatever like that. I think they're going to wait.
Right.
I'm not speaking for them in any at all. I'm just saying what I think. And I don't even know when that's going to be. It's crazy. Exactly. And you know what's scary is, and I'm being 100% like, this is Kevin Quinn, not Ref Quinn. I'm 54, man. I got more matches behind me than I have in front of me, you know? And the hard part too is, I love wrestling, but I love Lisa and my relationship with her more. Meaning, I've given 9 years of my life, and I've dedicated it, and it's frustrating. And I'll just say, like there's been spots open at companies. Like there was a spot open at Ring of Honor, when Paul Turner made the jump to AEW. That ref spot didn't even become available. And I'll just start at that. The minute that, he was leaving, that position was already full. No tryout, no nothing. Called up somebody he knew and scooped right in there, which, you know what? Good for him. The kid's, he's a good friend of mine, that's in this. Me. And he's a good ref and he deserves the spot. But you know what? So do I. And there's only so many spots out there, But you gotta be honest with yourself someday and say, is a major company gonna hire a 54-year-old ref? No, they're not gonna. So that's just reality of it, and I finally accepted it and I'm okay with it. Now the question is, where do we go from there? And that's where I'm at right now. And I love reffing, dude. I'm passionate about it.
Absolutely.
I love it. I think I'm pretty good at it. And actually, now I'll just take a quick second, if you don't mind. I get to work with some unbelievable referees. Now I'm gonna go by company, that way I don't forget them. But I'm gonna thank this guy first because I got him on the last podcast or 2 podcasts I did, because I don't ref with him a lot anymore. But he's a very good friend of mine, and that's Tony P. He's XWA. And the reason I call him Tony P because he has a long Italian name, and I'm going to butcher it, and I don't want to do that. But people know Tony P. Him and I go way back. He's a good friend of mine. In wrestling, there's a term. There's term brothers and good brothers. He's a good brother. Now we'll go to Chaotic Wrestling. I get to work with Rich Bass all the time. Rich Bass, best wrestling. He's my mentor. He's the guy that helped me from the day I broke in. So him and I go way on back. You know what I mean? And let's go over to Limitless Wrestling real quick. I work with Eric Greenleaf up there, good ref.
Mm.
I work with another ref from the dojo, and his name slips my mind. Okay, and then we'll go over to Beyond Wrestling. I get to work with my buddy Steve Domingue. We did Uncharted Territories, 31 weeks. Let me reiterate that. 31 weeks. He is legitimately like my brother. You know, I text him right now and I'll get an immediate text back. And also Chris Bankos works with us over there. Gina Blue Shoes, she works with us over there. She worked with us at, I think I got her on one show because I had to do an NEW show and I handpicked her to jump in because she's good. And I believe I read she just got a full-time spot with Shakara, if I'm not mistaken.
She did officially, like yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, okay. I'm very happy. But you know what's the coolest thing about her? She's like a really cool person to talk to. It's hard to explain. Like, she's the same person if you talk to her in the parking lot of a show, or if you talk to her during a show while she's reffing, or if you talk to her after a show. She's the same. She's really good. Let's see. Where did I get them all? Did I get Chaotic Wrestling?
You did Chaotic. You did Beyond. You did Limitless.
We got NEW now.
NEW.
We got my buddy Eric Stefanowitz, very, very good friend of mine. Very good friend of mine. We went to Vegas a couple years ago and did StarCast together. That was awesome. Then you got my good friend Vinny Lax, who tapes me up and keeps me together because he's an athletic trainer. Then we got my buddy Christy Antonio from New York. He comes in most of the shows. And if by chance I forgot anybody, I apologize. I love working with you all. You all teach me something, and you're all very helpful to me. And you all keep the old man calm when I go cuckoo. Thank you.
Very loving shout outs right there, my friend. And I love that. You know, showing the love in wrestling. There's so much of that. And that's what's always drawn me to wrestling. Behind the scenes, I mean, there's a lot of stuff just like in everyday life, but I'm telling you, you guys and girls really show a lot of love to each other, and it's just amazing. But I want to just pull a Jenga piece out of those names, if you will. I love me some Blue Shoes. I could talk about her all night. But Rich Bass, what a character that guy is. Oh, my word, that guy is. He's off his rocker, man. I mean, he can do anything, really. His mind for wrestling is just some, like, you don't, like, he could wrestling, man.
Yeah, he goes way back because he's actually he's not that old of a guy. I want to say he's only, I'm not even sure. He may be 31, 32 maybe, if that. But I know he's been doing this like 16, 17 years. And he goes way back. He's had a lot to do. Hold on a second so I don't break things here. He has a lot to do with wrestling. I mean, he knows how to do it all. He's good, man.
Yeah, I've seen him. Man, when I seen him, never mind. We won't even get into that. So I'd like to get back to. Well, when he takes off that referee shirt and turns into somebody else, and he's like outside, that guy. Wow.
Okay, I get why you didn't want to talk about that. Okay, we'll move
on. I did want to touch it back. I think my adrenaline pumped up on that one. Now, I forgot to mention one little thing that Mr. Stephen Baker did say, a P.S., if you will. P.S. Quinn is my favorite ref I've yet to fully work with. So maybe yourself and Mr. Baker have some business in the future to take care of later on down the road.
I hope so. The funny thing about him, right, and this is like what wrestling is all about. I don't even really know him, and he doesn't even really know me, but yet we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll comment on a post, and it's just like I'll see one of his videos, and it's just like, "What's up, buddy?" It's just how it is in wrestling. You know, it's just
it is.
Some people you click with, and some people you might not.
There's a guy that he's associated with, and it was kind of mentioned earlier. King Leon the Black Blade, which is a transition, an evolution of character, if you will, from King Leon the Sixth. He's dead now, and King Leon the Black Blade has evolved and risen. Have you been seeing this footage rolling around?
A little bit of it, yeah. I see a little bit of everything, man. You know, I do. And he's good, man. He gets into it, and he's a passionate guy. And
Absolutely.
but that's the funny thing you say is like now that all the wrestlers are coming out of hibernation, man, I've seen some promos that, you know, I've seen some promos. Let's just.
Oh, I know.
I saw one and I was like, it was so interesting. I had to keep watching it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Cutting promos is hard. You know,
it is.
You can't just switch into character and be like, you know.
I'm glad you used the word interesting. I am so glad you used that word.
I'm a professional.
Now, I'm going to move on to this guy's he knows his shit. Oh, my goodness. I don't know even a fraction of what this man knows. And I know you're familiar with him. Leo Connors, he's up in the New Hampshire area doing a fine show.
Yeah. I've been on that a few times, too, and he's a great guy. Great guy.
Fantastic. And the knowledge that he has in his head is amazing. But he has a question. This says, Kevin is former referee Dick Worley. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
A old school guy, someone you watched to study, question mark.
Yep. Yeah, it was him. I grew up watching him. I grew up and I've watched every WrestleMania that they've had. I'm 54, so trust me, I saw Bruno versus Pedro Morales, and I mean that was the first live match that I ever saw at the Boston Garden. Was Bruno Sammartino versus Pedro Morales.
Amazing.
It is, man. Yeah.
It is because I love, and I'm not taking anything from Bruno because obviously Bruno is Bruno, but myself, I thought there was something very, very special about Pedro Morales, my friend. Loved Pedro Morales.
You know what it was? He's just like say Rey Mysterio, right? The people love him, and that's what it is. That's what it is. But no, I watched him and I watched Earl Hebner a lot. But no, I grew up and I mean, I can't tell you any other WWE refs that I remember other than Dick Worley. I don't know if he was the only ref. Well, I mean, I remember Tim White, a lot of guys, but Dick Worley sticks out in my head. And I want to say that I might be a little bit taller version of him. I think he might have been a little bit shorter, but it was the same way. He was real, and he was firm and he was aggressive and he was a great ref. So yeah, and Earl Hebner, I was always a fan of his because he's Earl Hebner, and I'm gonna get yelled at again, but I got to work with him on some shows, and I actually got to bump him. Believe it or not. Yeah, it was a situation. It was with another company that I used to work for, and it was down south. It was Christian York, I believe, against the champ Flex Armstrong, and I want to say that Christian York brought his own ref, which was Hebner. So I got bumped, and next thing you know, I found out through the footage that York hit him with the belt. And then all of a sudden, he called out Hebner, and I was just waking up, and I see another ref run by, and I'm like, what? I'm trying to shake the cobwebs because I can't see because I got punched in the face. And I'm just like, I see an arm go up. I'm like, wait, that's one. I see it come down again. I go over and I grab it so he can't hit three. And he gets up, he pushes me. I'm like, yeah, true. I pushed him back. Like, I don't know who you think you. Oh shit, this is Earl Hebner. I'm like, what's going on right now? And he pushes me. I'm like, and he goes, you son of a bitch. And he starts yelling, pushing me out. And I'm like, well, fuck you. And I pushed him back. And he came at me again, and I clotheslined his ass and knocked him down and said, get the fuck out of the ring.
Oh, my God.
I was like, I went right to the promoter, and I said, dude, I'm in big trouble. I said, I hit Earl Hebner. And I got a tap on the back, and I'm like, uh-oh. And the promoter just goes, you might want to turn around. And it was Earl Hebner, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Well, I don't want to peel the curtain back too much, but
No.
it was, dude, like the
Earl
cobwebs are
Hebner.
coming, the cobwebs are coming out of my head. All I see is a ref shirt come by. Then I look at the ref shirt, it has TNA on it. I'm like, what the hell is going? I'm like, that's Earl Hebner. And I'm walking in the back, and I'm like, I just hit Earl Hebner. I'm like, oh, fuck. The one time I get ballsy. But
Oh man,
those are,
fantastic. Uh,
yeah.
you, you are amazing, Ref Quinn. I have to just say that you are absolutely amazing. Now, Leo Connors
Get me
goes on.
fired up.
I, Leo Connors goes on. I say this because he was a very fit referee like yourself. If Dick wasn't one of them, who were the refs that you like? Which I guess we just kind of touched upon.
Yeah, I don't really remember any other. Well, actually, I mean, I remember Tommy Young. I grew up watching him a lot. I mean, he's one of the best refs. Um, it was, but but I wasn't really at the point where I knew that I wanted to be a referee. Because if you want to hear a real quick story, uh,
Please.
I didn't grow up saying I want to be a professional wrestling referee.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect. I grew up in the bowling business. My
Oh,
father ran bowling alleys all my life. And I was born into bowling, like just say Randy Orton was born into wrestling. So
mm-hmm.
I was, throwing a ball between my legs down the lane when I was like 2 years old. So I was in leagues and all that. And when I was 11 years old, it was 11 or 13, I can't remember. I set a national record. I had the highest three-string total of any kid my age in the country. And I Junior Olympics a couple times. It was called the Youth Games, excuse me. I always call it the Junior Olympics. It was called Youth Games. I went to that a couple of times. But then unfortunately, I ran into a little issue with a little, and I took a different path, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get into wrestling until I was 45. Um,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, but I might be too old. This is where I was going to go at the end of this. I might be too old to go any further in wrestling, but I'm not too old to go further in professional bowling.
Ooh,
So,
now uh, with that beard, sir, that beautiful face and that beautiful head of yours, you already look like a champion bowler. I mean, right off the ripper.
thank you, thank you. So that's something that actually could happen. That's something that could happen. Oh,
uh, may I ask? Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
okay.
May I ask? Uh, now the bowler, the perfect game is a 300. Do you have a ton of those under your belt? Do you have a couple? Where are we with the 300 game?
I have one.
Wow.
I have one. Yeah, that's the hardest thing to do in the world, man. And your nerves just get out from under you.
Mm.
And the good thing is I did it in front of my late dad. My dad passed away in 2003. And uh, that particular night that I did that perfect game, he was behind me watching me. So that's something that's always holds a special spot in the heart.
Uh, he gave you a little helping hand, man. That is amazing. I love that. That is so fantastic.
I don't actually think I've ever told that.
Wow. A little exclusive on Stirring the Pot. That was beautiful. Uh, I'm gonna get back to El Pepe because he was the one. Remember, he did a little ding ding while we were talking.
Yeah,
Yeah. He threw a little comment in there, so we're gonna get to El Pepe here.
yeah.
Kevin Quinn. I don't have a question, but more of a statement.
Uh-oh.
It's yeah. It's vulgar and offensive, and will be reported. So I will send it to your DMs. So I think you got a message in the awaiting from El Pepe. We don't know what it says because he won't tell us right now. It's too vulgar.
All right, hold on one second.
He says, hold on one second. I love you, Ref Quinn. Stop, please. Thank you.
Oh
Not you,
shit.
Ref Quinn, not you.
Oh yeah, I have a message in my DMs. All right. Uh, uh. Let me tell you something. I, I've learned something in wrestling. Well, you think that I would have learned something, that it's the best thing that you can do in wrestling. I'm telling you, to any up and coming, and this is 100% serious, actually, to any up and coming wrestler. And when I say wrestler, girl, boy, whatever it is, shut, open. Let me reiterate that. Open, shut. Best piece of advice. I've gotten myself in more trouble just by simply commenting on something, or clicking a like on something, or expressing my opinion on something. That's why through this whole thing that's been going on right now in the world with all these protests, if you will, I haven't said a word, and I'm not going to say a word, and I'm just going to keep quiet and keep my opinions and my feelings to myself, because no matter what I say or how I say it, someone's going to get bent out of shape, and it's going to cause an argument, and it's just not worth it. Plus, the other thing, too, and I think this is something that people forget, social media is a very powerful tool.
Mhm.
Now, when you're getting hired by one of these big companies, like say Ring of Honor, WWE, all this stuff, do you know what the first thing they do is?
They start scrolling through your stuff.
They go through your social media from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Day one. So if you got some stuff in there, I won't mention any names on this one, and I'll just touch on it real quick. There was
Mm-hmm.
somebody supposed to have a match on AEW. What do they call that? Dark.
Yeah, yes, AEW Dark.
Somebody was supposed to be on that, and they found a tweet from 2013, and that person got pulled off the show. And I want to say, I don't know what happened other than that, but that particular person is a good wrestler, and
Mm-hmm.
he's off the spot because of a tweet in 2013.
Right.
Think about that. In Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
don't you think that somebody from all these major companies has somebody sitting there watching Facebook all day? You better believe they know what's going on. They see everything
Exactly.
written. So when tell someone to go F themselves, or you get into Twitter, you get into these, Twitter wars are different. Twitter wars going back and forth are usually wrestlers who are about to wrestle each other or something. Different. But just shitting on someone on Facebook, like, you know what? I won't get into it too much because this'll you want to stir the pot.
Stir the pot.
This will send the pot overflowing, and it will cause. But I'll touch on it real quick. I got kicked off of a show when I first started because two local referees saw an older guy coming in that maybe had potential to take the spots that they had, and they weren't going to let that happen. And they literally got me kicked off a show. But all I'll say is there was somebody there that had some pull at another company, and that kind of helped me get into another company, which I'm still in at this point, and we'll leave the name out. So in all actuality, I guess I could still be pissed because I never actually confronted them about it. But in all actuality, they may have done me a favor. They got me
That
to very, very good company. And to this day, I still talk to these guys. We still are friendly.
mhm.
It's just that was a situation that happened, and I'm just stating a fact. I'm not throwing names. I'm not throwing people under the bus. I'm just stating a fact, and that did happen. And I've never told anybody about that either. So I guess this is a pretty exclusive stirring the pot.
Wow. Ref Quinn shooting from the hip a little bit, if you will.
I am actually, and I'm going to shut up right now.
uh, but, but you know, as they say, I mean, in life in general, but in wrestling, sir, when you burn a bridge, it's very, very easy, and it's done like that. But trying to rebuild those bridges and trying to re-network yourself back in and trying to do that stuff, very, very difficult task, my friend.
Very, very difficult. Very difficult. And it's difficult for a couple of different reasons. It's because if you burn one bridge, and that one person has a lot of pull with a lot of other people. Trust me, that
Hmm.
bridge goes a lot further than you thought it did. Hey,
Yeah,
can we
that
take like a 30-second break?
you can do whatever you want. You're Ref Quinn, please.
I literally have. I'm not. I have to. I'll be right back.
You go do that.
Thanks.
Hell no, not a problem. This is awesome. Ref Quinn is taking off. So, I mean, I'm going to filibuster a little bit, but I am telling you, boys and girls, we've gotten some kind of goodies out of Ref Quinn today because he's kicking back. I mean, again, we don't name names and we don't do all of that stuff because we don't like to slight nobody on the show. That's not what the show is for. We like to uplift people, the talent, the promotions and such. So the show is never about slighting anybody. And I think Ref Quinn is a very consummate professional and having fun at the same time with giving us some tidbits that he's really never talked about before. So, hey, Ref Quinn is a effing man. This has been an awesome return. This is a follow-up that we're doing with Ref Quinn. And, man, I am so glad that my man stepped in because we would have never gotten this kind of stuff out. And I'm all excited and amped up. I got to light a cigarette, man. Probably not the best for my health. It is what it is, but my adrenaline is cooking right now. This is crazy. If you don't know of any of the companies that Ref Quinn has been announcing, the Beyond, Chaotic Wrestling, Blitzkrieg, Limitless, Northeast Wrestling, the list goes on. He's mentioned XWA. The list goes on and on. If you haven't heard of any of these promotions, just get on the old Twitter, get on the old Facebook, look them up. It's not hard. Let's get some more eyes on these companies. Let's get some more eyes on the talent. And that's what wrestling's about, man. The more we see, the more fun we all get to have together. Ref Quinn, what's up, baby?
That's it. I'm back. Thank you. I needed to take a quick break. But I'm outside now. Looking on the hammock, just chilling out.
Hey, we love the better half on this show. Holy cow!
Yeah, chilling. All right. But yeah, thank you for letting me tell you that. I haven't really shared that, and it's good because I didn't get into any names, any companies. I just stated the facts.
No, and that's what I kind of reiterated as you. I was filibustering a little bit, but I was stating that fact. You are a consummate professional and having fun at the same time. And I applaud you for being able to balance both, my friend, because that's a fine line there.
Yeah. You know, I got the best piece of advice I got sitting in a North locker room from a guy named, and his advice was me, stop caring what people say and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Best piece of advice. Best piece of advice. And, you know, he's right because it's a tough job as it is. It's stressful. You know, like, for instance, say I have a show at NEW, right? I leave at like, say, 12, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock so I can stop, make sure I have plenty of time to get there in case there's traffic or anything like that. I don't get home till like 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a long day, you know, and I might only have 2 matches. So I might only ref for a total of like 15, 16 minutes, you know?
Exactly.
But if I ref for a minute, it's worth it, you know?
Exactly. I've been getting a knock at my door, and I know I kind of said something earlier. Now we're gonna. I got somebody who's gonna probably want to ask you a question or two. Where is he? Where is he? He likes to scare me to look. See, there he is. He likes to scare me, Ref Quinn. He's a little booger like that. All right. So here, sit up here. Oh, there we go. Sit with me. Okay. So Ref Quinn, this is my nephew Jacob. We call him Big Jacob P when he goes to wrestling.
What's up, Jacob? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm wearing an earpiece, so this isn't working out the best. Hold on a second. I have 2 earpieces. We're gonna fire this one. Watch this. Let's see. We get this one going. I think we got it here. Ref Quinn, are you there, my friend?
I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Here, use this one, sir, in your left ear. Don't in there. Just there you go. All right. Speaker. No, don't be pushing it though. Okay, you can't be pushing it and going crazy. There we go. All right. So, Ref Quinn, Big Jacob P. Big Jacob P. Do you have any questions? Well, just hold it around the side of. There you go. do you have any questions for our fine referee Kevin Quinn?
Do you have a laptop?
I don't. I have a
Okay.
cell phone and a tablet.
Ooh.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Ooh.
What's yours?
Blue, red, and
Blue.
green.
Hey,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
you can't you can't ask somebody for their favorite color, and then when they say what's yours, name like 3 of them. I mean, holy cow!
Sure you can. That's okay. That's all right.
Are those your only two? Those are the only 2 questions he's ever asked. He never. Do you have any other questions that you could go to besides those?
Do you have a string? Do you go to wrestling?
Oh, fine question.
Do I go to wrestling?
Yes.
You mean when I'm not reffing?
He's a referee. You know, the one that wear the stripes and they count to 1, 2, 3. He's a referee. He's like one of the best in the biz, baby.
Oh,
Wait,
thank
he does.
Yeah, he does the 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yep. That's me.
Do you have any other questions for Mr. Ref Quinn?
You're live, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Dead air stinks, you know.
Do you have a Samsung Galaxy S10?
Oh, my
I actually have a Samsung Galaxy S8.
oh, eights are cool. They're cool.
Take a peek.
Did you hang up with Ref Quinn? What you
Yo,
do?
man. What's up, man? How old are you?
You hung up on him yet again. That's the second time. Look at him. He looks mad. Are you mad, Ref Quinn?
How old are you?
7.5.
Oh, 7.5. Okay. Well, we're good. I just thought you might be a little shorter or something. I just was checking.
Could you say have a good night, Ref Quinn?
Have a good night, Ref Quinn.
You too, buddy. Take care. Be a good boy, okay?
Okay.
Soiree, my friend. Thanks for hanging up on Ref Quinn.
No, I have to give you love.
Oh, give me love real quick. Oh,
There you go.
I love you, buddy. Have a good night. All right.
Awesome.
Love that little guy to pieces, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, we took
Where
out
were we? How long have we been going?
we've been going for about an hour 15. I can't really tell because my runtime got all messed up. But I did have one more question, if I could, before we leave here, sir.
Let's do it.
This comes from the fan roundtable. This is a guy, his name is Jim Kulik. We call him Woo, pretty much because him and 4 or 5 guys, they get together as fans. They go to the PvP, the WMWs, and they go to those shows, and they are very loud and proud, my friend. So, with that being said, his question is, what is your favorite type of match to ref? A cage match, a hardcore match, a traditional match, any type of match.
My favorite, again, is anytime I get to wipe my feet and get into the ring. But my favorite type of match, and I'll just throw an example at you. I was fortunate enough to work for MLW. I did a taping for them. I'm in New York. And I did a match with Timothy Thatcher and Davey Boy Smith Jr. And it was all wrestling. There was only one strike, and the strike was the finish. It was a punch and a finish. And it was absolutely amazing. And I was sweating my ass off because this is something that, like, you might write this down, right? Write this down and ask any ref that you have on here. Ask them this question. If you ref someone like an all-out wrestling match, I'm just talking wrestling. I'm not talking strikes. I'm talking 2 guys wrestling. It blows you up because you're constantly checking. What do you say? Talk to me, boy. You're in there and all that. And dude, that match was so good. And the feedback that I got from those 2, I walked through the curtain and I went back and we're in a hallway, all 3 of us dripping sweat. And I just looked at them and I can always tell by the reaction on their face of how it's going to be. They both got smiles. Davey Boy shook my hand and God, what a handshake that dude has, like a vice grip. And he shook my hand. He goes, "Good job, ref." And I have a relationship with Thatcher. I've refed with him quite a few times. And he just went like this. He says, "Always good, sir. Always good. Thank you." And he is one of the most polite guys. And I'm telling you, I am so friggin' happy that the WWE is going to give him a chance. Because as far as wrestling goes, I think the two best wrestlers in the WWE, and I don't want to get myself in trouble here, there's a lot of good wrestlers, but I think two of the top ones, let's change the wording on that, Drew Gulak and Timothy Thatcher. Drew Gulak, I'll put Drew Gulak in a ring with anybody in the world with a wrestling match. Wrestling.
Whenever Drew Gulak left Evolve and was signed to the WWE product, I was so stoked for him. And I'm not saying it. I was just kind of displeased with what they've done with him over the course. I know, but we expected that catches can catch and all of that stuff, but WWE put a total different spin on him. And that comical portion of the program I wasn't expecting, if you will.
Yeah, well, I think there's an old saying, like, he does what they tell him to do, And I'll give you a little tidbit, right? I've got to work with a lot of professional wrestlers and a lot of guys that have helped me and stuff. But if I had to say there was one person who was tougher on me than any other independent wrestler I've ever worked with, hands down, it would be Drew Gulak. And I'll tell you why. Drew Gulak is a perfectionist, and he wants you to be too. And there was a short period of time there where I'm like, ooh, this guy's rough, man. But you know what? At the end of the day, he helped me and he made me a much better ref. And then I always looked at it like this. He's not yelling at anybody else, but he's yelling at me. So I either suck or he sees something in me that he can bring out of. And I'm hoping it's the second half of that.
Ref Quinn, I could talk to you hours and I'd probably run out of material sooner or later, but just hanging out, talking to you, hearing some of your stories, and I don't care who says what about name dropping. I don't give a rat's ass, man. You've worked with some of the most fine talent, and we've already said this, in the entire world. There's no reason why you can't just spread a little love to those names and feeling good about yourself.
I totally agree, man. I totally agree. But, others feel differently. But that's, everybody has the right to their opinion. And as long as you keep it clean and positive and, and that's, I'll tell you, that's the one thing that I'm learning when I'm getting a little older is be careful what you say because it'll come back and bite you, But I just want to say this, all kidding aside, and this is just from me to everybody in professional wrestling, anybody who has ever helped me, get a booking. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Jesus. I have to send a very special thank you to Anthony Green. Anthony Green. Because he helped me a lot. He helped me get into wrestling. And you know what? I'm going to show you something kind of funny. We go way back. You know who I mean, right, Anthony Green? Retrosexual.
I absolutely do. Retrosexual, if you will.
Right. I'm going to unlock my fiance's car and I'm going to show you something.
Oh, I can't wait to see this. This is going to be a good one, boys and girls. Because Anthony Green, he's come up, he got into it. He was a referee. I remember seeing him very young. I've seen the footage and stuff. He's been through it.
Yep. He is. He's a good dude, too, man. He helped me a lot. And I'm going to see if I can spin this the other way. All right. So I'm driving my fiance's car, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's sunny. And I pull down the visor.
Ah!
What do I see? Right? So I'm driving, like, what's up, babe? Whoa, really sunny. I'm like, what the hell is this? She got a burner phone too. I wanted to end with something kind of funny, because life has been a little bit crazy lately. Everybody's up in arms about everything. You can't say about anything, so we'll leave it at that. And I've been very fortunate in professional wrestling. I appreciate everything everybody's done for me. Will I be back? I might be back for a short time. We got a little unfinished business we need to take care of.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to go out in the way that, that we have to do it, and we'll see what happens.
You have to come back for a little something. We can't get back from the COVID and you be gone. I mean, Jesus Christmas, you can't do that.
No, I assure you, I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. And we'll talk again. And I can't thank you enough. I knew I literally shot this on you in a comment, and you took the time to put me on here and let me talk your ear off for an hour. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ref Quinn, I popped again. Like I said, I popped like a little kid. It's Ref fucking Quinn, of course. Hey, it's the better half. I popped.
The other half.
You better half, please, and feel better. Everybody, stay safe, and all of that good stuff. But I popped like an MFer when you did respond on that. I was just, I love me some Ref Quinn, and I can't thank you enough, my friend.
I popped too, and you actually said, "Let's do it." I was like, "Let's do it." You got me fired up. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I'm ready to, I'm ready to get back and see what we can. But I'll keep in touch as always, and I tell you what, if you don't see me for a while, you might want to talk to El Pepe.
Oh, I'll have to. He did respond to my friend request, so now I can message him. We'll figure all of that out.
I'm sure you're gonna have a DM soon too.
I hope it's not as vulgar as yours. Whoa! Yeah, I'm not doing that.
You have a good day, man.
This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Ref Quinn. Thank you so much, my man.
You're welcome, buddy. Take care.
You as well.